Hi, you know that I'm a homeschooler. You might not know that I have been a professional writer. I was a professional writer long before AI ever came on the scene. And once AI came on the scene, I actually got professional certifications in AI on Coursera and on LinkedIn Learn. I've learned how to best use AI intelligently and ethically. And what I say is, I use AI to do what anyone can do so that I have more time to do what only I can do. As a writer, you have a very specific voice, and it is important to use your specific voice in your writing. However, there's a lot of stuff that we can use AI for, and when you're teaching your children, if you refuse to let them use AI, they will be left behind, because the leaders and innovators of tomorrow are those who learn how to use AI and harness the powers of AI now to their benefit. You're doing them zero favors by disallowing them to use AI, and I'm going to teach you how to use it for English composition, for example. And telling them they can't use AI is like telling them they cannot use Google search and the internet to do research. Go to the library and do your research. That is the old, antiquated dinosaur way of doing things, and no one does that anymore. Now, for high school, obviously, if you are in university and you are to go to the medical library or the law library, you might actually have to pull hard copies. It's fine, no problem. But in the real world, people use Google to access those things. AI is the same. It is not cheating to use AI. It's like having an assistant who can help you become better at what you do. So here's how we just used AI today in my son's English composition class. So we just started the school year. So the first thing he's learning to do is write a good summary. So he watched an MIT video of flight training and licensure, and he was to write a summary. The first thing he did while watching the video was to take notes, active notes. So he had a lot of headers and bullet points. And then I explained that he needs to then take those bullet points and put them in full sentences. And he didn't quite understand what I meant by that. And I said, okay, just explain to me, what is the video about? You just tell me what you learned. And he did that. And I said, okay, that's what you put in your summary. So write that down, the title, what the summary is about. And then in this video, they discuss blah, 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 da, 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 da. So he went through and he wrote a paragraph summary. Summaries are not reports. They're short. They're 1 or 2 paragraphs. They're short. They're summaries. Every time. Hello, car service. Yes, yes, absolutely. We've gone to Portola, as a matter of fact, I believe. So that's about an hour and a half, I believe. Sure, yeah, they can give a call. We are per hour, and so our base rate is 153, 157 per hour. So it kind of depends on what time of day and what day, if it's a holiday weekend or something like that, and what the gas prices are. Right, we don't have a driver in Portola, so the drivers are based more in Reno and Tahoe, so it would be nobody really available in that area for around town rides. Yep. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. Perfect. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Every time. I guess I need to do more videos. Okay, so sorry about that. I really appreciate your patience while I'm getting these calls. You know that this is real life. I really run a business from home. I really homeschool my kid, and I really have dogs, and I'm really doing laundry right now. So I really appreciate your patience and hanging out with me. This is how it works around here. So he went through and he wrote the summary in full sentences. And then I read it and I saw a couple of little weird typo things. And I said, have you read through the whole thing? Make sure that they are complete sentences. And we went through and corrected some grammatical and punctuation errors. And then I showed him how to separate that paragraph into like 3 very clear chunks, right? Instead of just a one big block of words, separated with a return, and give it some white space in there. Just visually, it's easier for the reader and more inviting than a big chunk of words. That is how it's done in books and everywhere else, right? So every few 3-4 sentences, you're going to have a break and some white space. So then he read it, and it really actually sounded good. He's quite a talented writer, which, you know, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And so then I told him to copy and paste his notes only, and we put them in Chat GPT. And he said, I thought we weren't allowed to use Chat GPT. And I said, well, just watch. I want you to see how this works. And tell it to write you a summary. And so it wrote a very long summary with all of the headers and bullet points turned into sentences. So it was more like a report from his notes. I said, okay, now that's really long. Tell it to write a summary in 1 paragraph. So then it whittled it down to 1 paragraph. And he read it, and he said, wow, that's a lot better than mine. I said, okay, well, this is how we can use chat to compare and contrast theirs from yours. It doesn't mean yours isn't good or that theirs is better, but by reading what that platform might write, you learn how next time to write yours a little bit better sounding. And then I said, okay, let's take your summary, put it in there, and tell it to improve this summary. And it just tightened it up. You know, it just made it sound a little more professional. And I'm not saying he should use that to turn in for his assignment, but what it does is it takes the assignment and gives it to him in another way he can see and learn from. Like, okay, I get it. I could do this and sound like this, and I can this and that and the other thing to improve his own writing. Now, he could take that final version and use that as his final if he puts in there edited by AI, right? Now, if you just write the prompt for AI, take all of your notes and you say, write a summary or a report from my notes, then you would put that in the bottom, you know, prompt written for AI using notes from blah, 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 and explain how you used AI. That is what's considered ethical, is transparency, letting people know that you did use AI. Now, if I just go through and say, correct any punctuation or grammatical errors, that's like using Grammarly. Do people tell you when they use Grammarly? No, not necessarily. So there's a fine line. If you're really turning over a lot of the writing to AI, you might want to say, AI wrote this, or prompt written for AI, because you still have to tell it what to do. And the better and more detailed your prompt is, the better and more detailed the output is. It can only do what you tell it to do. So, but that is how we used AI today, and that will help him learn to write a better, more professional, polished summary or report. And there is nothing wrong with that. Again, do not hold your students back from using AI. That is definitely stunting the progress and what is actually happening in the real world. What they need to do instead are take some of those professional certification courses to learn how AI is being used professionally. so they can be ahead of the game, not behind the gun. I hope you enjoyed this. Please share it with all of your teacher friends and your other homeschool moms and dads. All right, have a great one.